But once again, here I am live broadcasting for you. My name is Lori Swanson. I'm the CEO of Inspire Tech, the founder of Career Alchemy Academy. We are a community that works together, and I'm actually going to adjust my background for you all so you can grab the QR code if you're interested in learning more about Career Alchemy Academy. But yes, we are a community that's building careers, but so much more than that, building connection and confidence, clarity, um, but I don't know, just a soft landing, a place to come to bring all of it, the good, the bad, and the ugly, the celebrations, the wins, the challenges, working with women at all levels within the technology ecosystem, from CEOs, to individual contributors, relatively new in their career to mid to late, learning from each other, supporting each other across all of the different generations and loving it. So that's Career Alchemy Academy. Last week, if you saw me, I made it through most of the recording before my cold got the best of me. And I'm still got a little residual. So I might need to take a little drink using my Alchemist mug. Um, from Swell, and it is Swell. I love it so much. It's got the metal straw. It doesn't get mold or mildew. That's a whole nother story. I did a lot of searching before I landed on that particular water container. Um, and and so and it keeps everything cold. Let me just add that. Or hot, but I'm often putting cold water in there. So I may taking drinks as we go along, just recovering from the week-long cold that I had. But today, what I want to talk to you about in the live broadcast is the how to decode your career confusion. Have any of you been feeling a little confused about where you're at, where you want to go? I want to talk to you about it from the kind of unique perspective of considering the seven chakras. Now, let me tell you, I am not an expert in chakras. I mean, I've heard of them, energy centers, they have different colors related to them. But as a spirit-centered coach, I'm down for pretty much all of it. I'm open, I'm curious, but I haven't done a lot of direct chakra work. But I know enough, to be dangerous. And I had a conversation with a potential coaching client. So, and those are available if you are, DM me on LinkedIn or Instagram, or if you're watching out here on YouTube, and we can schedule a call. Though YouTube doesn't message me as directly, I would prefer LinkedIn or Instagram, or email me if you have an email to schedule. I'll do that more quickly. So, in any case, having this discovery call with her and thinking, um, listening to her talk about, so, I'm learning more about her career path, where she's been, talking about the dreams, what are the important priorities coming up in the next, several months to 12, 6, 12 months. What is it that she really wants to create for herself inside of her career? And what does she anticipate might be some obstacles or things getting in her way to achieving all of that? So we go through all of this. We're having a really, great conversation. Um, she's very open, which I love. She's self-reflective. She's been really considering making these changes, and she's, um, very clear that a coach and getting support from a coach is what she needs. So we get to the point of talking about making the decision, and she says, I want to think it over. And so for me, I'm always kind of curious about that, mainly because I feel like maybe I missed something. Like, did I not give her some information she needed? What is she thinking over? Because, it wasn't the time. She could carve out the time for coaching. It wasn't the money. That was a non-issue. It wasn't a need. She was very clear that she needed it. So hence my confusion and curiosity. What was it, that I had failed to give her? So I asked her, when you're thinking things over, if you right now, of course, if you have questions, I'm there for you. I'm not opposed to taking time. I'm somewhat impulsive in nature, and so I have implemented a rule where I give myself a 24 hours. Of course, it's a very loosely held rule, but it's a good one. It's a good one for me. Can be, and I don't always follow it. So, but I do understand that, and so, I just had the sense that it wasn't about that. So I said, what is it? Is it that, is there some information, as you're thinking it over that right now, like, I wish I would have asked her this, or I wanted her to explain this a little bit more. I'm a fast talker. We can all agree, so was I talking too fast? And she said, no, no, it was none of that. She had all the information she needed. She was clear. She said the issue was that what brought her to the call was this, high level of burnout. And she said, I'm thinking to myself, I'm already feeling burnt out, in a company that was, no longer supporting her career in a way that worked for her, didn't really have a path that she needed anymore, was, pretty much the definition of toxic. And she said, I just don't know if I have the energy to take on the coaching process. And I was like, oh, I get it. I'm a coach, right? I'm like, hey, let's talk about the burnout a little bit. Tell me, where are you feeling the burnout in your body? And she said, immediate, behind the eyes. It is behind my eyes. And now it began to make sense to me, right? I said, oh, this spot here is your third eye chakra. It sits sort of on top of the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex, main job, making decisions. And if you have been feeling burnt out, it's because you've been making lots and lots of decisions and you have decision fatigue, right? So she's in decision fatigue. So no wonder it was going to be hard to, push the button on coaching, and thinking about all the decisions that then were going to come out of that, because you don't want to, a coaching relationship is very much about taking action. So making moves. Now, some of that is inner work that might need to be done, and it could involve, the action could be very small, could be journaling, some vision boarding, talking to your close circle about, what they might see for you next. But it also might mean, working on those job search assets, the resume, the LinkedIn profile, going to networking events. Or if you're looking to stay in your current organization, but you're wanting to move to a new group or take on some more responsibility, it's going to require more of you. And if you're already feeling burnt out and feeling, a high sense of decision fatigue, then walking into change can be like, it's pretty much a heck no for me right now, except if you don't do it, more time goes by, more toxicity building up, continued burnout and fatigue, because you're not really changing what's causing it. And so, I said to her, here's the thing. So we know that you're feeling this burnout behind your eyes. It's this decision fatigue that's happening. Um, so my suggestion is don't make a decision on coaching this weekend. Just don't do it. Just take the rest of the week and into the weekend, set it down. I suggested the idea of tapping into what's called your default mode network, your DMN, which is that once you kind of quiet the prefrontal, it your subconscious will begin to work out some decisions for you. So it's not about this planning, analysis, decision making prefrontal stuff, but it goes into the subconscious where the brain likes to create clarity and insight, hence the third eye, right? When you stop overthinking, overanalyzing, or even putting the pressure on yourself to make a decision. So I'm just like, don't make a decision on it immediately. Just let this conversation, the notes you have, just set them aside. Trust that this default mode network is going to be doing it in partnership with your third eye chakra, doing the insight work for you, doing the clarity work for you, helping you get to a place where you are excited about this decision. The burnout's not going to go away overnight. There's going to be some stuff we are going to have to do to create more space and reduce that fatigue. And that happens through the coaching relationship and through small and larger moves that she's going to be making. But you could just, even as I was saying it, like the tension releasing from her body, this relaxation was just coming over like, wait, I don't have to make a decision right now about anything. I'm just going to relax, put it down, go about my day, do less, rest more, all of those things. And so that's what she did. But I started when I was, at the end of the call, I was like, oh my gosh, but what if it wasn't behind her eyes? What if it was in her gut or her stomach or her heart or her throat? What if it was a headache on top of her head, right? What if it was in those areas? So, of course, off I go down the rabbit hole of learning more about the chakras and tying those, for our purposes here, into how that can give you some information, more information and more clarity about what might be getting in the way of you getting unstuck or reducing burnout or any of that. So that's what I want to go through right now is, let me get my pages up here because it's got some data. I want to make sure I'm doing it correctly. Again, not an expert on the chakras, though I'm feeling much more expertise. That's what's so fun about writing blogs, I guess, or, these newsletters, whatever you want to call them, is that it so feeds my part of me that likes to learn things. And so now I was learning about the chakras. So 7 chakras and the wisdom they want to share with you, so it's like the chakras plus your body compass, your body genius. And Martha Beck calls it your body compass. I call it kind of your body genius, that's sending you the signals and the wisdom. It has so much wisdom, the body wisdom, right? It has so much wisdom, and we just keep operating on top of it and ignoring it. Now the burnout is building and building, and the other consequences are building and building. So I wanted to talk about the unique meaning that each of these chakras can have, looking at the different chakra energy centers and considering for yourself, if you're experiencing some discomfort in any of these areas, that perhaps some of this, wisdom I'm going to share with you might be helpful. So chakra number 1 is the root chakra. That's really located at the base of your spine. And it's about feeling stable and grounded. So if you're experiencing some lower back discomfort, strain, pain, you might want to consider your need to create more stability, more safety in your life. I'm focused on professional, but it always bleeds into personal. You cannot have a whole life of, integrating, the work with the personal with the professional. You just have to look at all of it. So you're experiencing this lower back pain, and it could be part work, but it also could be part what's going on at home too, right? So maybe because we're talking about stability and groundedness and structure, right? That maybe there's stronger boundaries. Are your boundaries getting a little loose right now, and you need to put the boundaries back in? Are you saying yes when you really want to say no? Are you raising your hand because you think you should, even though you're like, how am I going to fit one more thing on my plate? So burnout lies at the end of those loose boundaries. No, as they like to say, is a complete sentence. But I also think when I think about groundedness is, are you disconnected from nature? you know? So that might also be a way to get regrounded, to walking. It's freezing here in Chicago, and I will tell you, when I go out to get to the mail, I have been going in my bare feet so that I can create some groundedness. And I think it's working, like getting some of that energy up, even in the middle of winter. So let's talk about, so that's your root chakra. So number 2 is what they call the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is located in the lower abdomen or your gut, just below your navel, right? And it's about your connection to your emotions, to pleasure, to creativity. So if you've been feeling distress in your gut, in that lower abdomen, consider how you might be shutting down your expression at work. So are you being authentically yourself, or are you editing yourself? Are you bending and fitting into someone else's mold instead of creating the work and life that feels authentic to you, right? Perhaps the work culture is a mismatch for you anymore, for who you are, for where you're going, how you like to work. Could it be time for a change? Could it be time for a change? So that gut, little discomfort there. The third chakra is your solar plexus. That is above the navel. And the solar plexus chakra is located, like I said, above the navel, and it's your power, it's your personal power center resides there. So this, if you've been feeling like tightness in your midsection, even an upset stomach, you can the difference sort of between when it's in your gut and when it's in your upper stomach. If you've been feeling that upset stomach, then you may want to look at the ways in which you've been giving away your power. Have you been and I can tell you, this is a big one, I think, for burnout, this giving away of our power, right? So self-doubt can creep in. And I think I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I'm going to talk about toxic work culture, I think next week, maybe the week after. I've been working on a couple different topics. But this idea of giving your power away, especially if you're in a toxic work culture, can lead to burnout. And leads to self-doubt. You're holding yourself back. You're you are not like you are not empowering yourself. Maybe you're not empowering the team the way you think you should or could. So now is the time to choose to believe in yourself again, to take back your power, to step into the more confident version of yourself. Just think about times in your career when you've felt confident, you've felt in your power, and just whatever your circumstances, co-opt that energy, bring that, remind yourself that it is in you, right? You have that power. So confidence is part mindset, and it's part just doing the thing, right? So where can you reclaim your power and uh, make power moves instead in your career, in your life? Fourth chakra is your heart chakra. This is, just in the center of your chest, just where you think it would be. And it is, as it sounds, it's all about self love and loving others, giving and receiving love. So if you've been feeling some heartburn, if you've been feeling alone, out of alignment with yourself and with others, then your heart chakra, you're being called to reconnect with your heart chakra, up level your self care. That's one of the ways you do that, and your connection with others. We're here in the US, we are, right smack into the holiday season. And I guess that's everywhere in the world. Um, but I kind of think about it as the US Thanksgiving sort of kicks it off for me, and then we move through everything into the new year. And so many opportunities to connect and give love to other people. The other day, I do this. I do it, more than just at this time of year, but for some reason, this time of year is a reminder is that like the person behind me in the Starbucks line, I'll get their coffee and stuff. And I feel like it's a way of spreading love and also connecting with them, because I always imagine people have done that for me, and I am just like, my heart is it's like exploding, right? It's so filled with joy. And then and I'm imagining how they're feeling, having created that feeling for me, right? um I think about the heart chakra also. We're talking about self-care, and it was funny because as I was talking about it, I looked down at my desk, and I don't know if you could see this, but it's this little mini phone that I have. It's from a dollhouse, and but I use it as a reminder to connect with my spiritual guides. So we're talking about connecting with ourselves, others in the physical world, but also connecting with those that have passed along. The inside of, spirit guides, angels, whatever, your expanded self, higher consciousness. If your heart's been aching, that could be the missing piece. Inside of Career Alchemy Academy, as you know, every month we have a touchstone. And we've had simplify, we've had energy, we've had alignment, visibility, friendship. And this month we're doing the touchstone of signals. And what I'm talking about is building their, what I call your SQ, your spiritual intelligence. And we're doing that through stillness, so meditating. We spent the first week doing that. This week we're talking about analyzing our dreams, becoming aware of our dreams and potential messages that they might have for us. Another aspect of spiritual intelligence is asking for signs, and that could be both from a song or a book, but it also could be from an ancestor, which I love. And we're also doing oracle cards and setting up our year, signaling to ourselves what we've been yearning for, what we're dreaming about, and how to make 2026, more, more of what we want and less of what we don't. So that's heart chakra work right there. All of that, like really sort of thinking to yourself, well, I can believe that, I'm always guided and supported, or I can believe I'm not. I just feel a little better because who knows, right? I always say, I really don't know, but I just decide that there is something out there that loves me so much that is sending me all of the heart chakra vibes all of the time, so that I can live the mission I'm meant to live here on planet Earth at this time. And so heart chakra, I cannot say enough about, and even if you haven't been feeling the heartburn, just, you know, just tune up. We could use so much of that. Just tune up the love vibe, the heart chakra. So number 5 of 7 is your throat chakra. and the sore throat, the tightening of the throat. Um, it's located at the throat and it represents your voice. So, how you're expressing yourselves to others. We talked a little bit about in the other, one of the other chakras about um, uh, authenticity and authentically expressing who you are. Um, and that's like you, right? And this one, the throat chakra, is like really verbally um, expressing yourself to others. So are you remaining quiet in meetings, you know, anywhere? Are you, at family gatherings when you really have something to say? And I'm not talking about being combative. Like, I really think, you know, that what comes out of my throat should be kind and gentle and curious and loving, And so even if I've been holding myself back, but I don't have to come out with all guns ablazing, right? That I can have responsibility over the how I express myself through my words. So um, are you speaking out confidently right now? Or are you using those softening words, like um, I'm not sure, but maybe I've got a good idea, instead of like, hey, I might have an idea here. Let's talk about it. There's a difference, right? Maybe you're indulging in gossip. So again, words. Maybe you're over talking, not giving not, you know, um, giving other people space to voice their opinions, but instead stopping them or judging their words or their position in a way, and or maybe you're blurting out without pausing and not considering your audience, right? So all of these things may show up as a sore throat, a closed throat, a tight throat. So it's time to speak up, stand out perhaps, um, using your words powerfully and kindly, lovingly, but confidently and with authority. All of that can happen at the same time. And number 6 is the third eye chakra. Again, right here between the eyebrows, a little bit above, I think, in front of that prefrontal cortex. It's the place where you do the analyzing, the planning, the decision making is taking place, like we talked about with my potential client. It's also the place where we see into the spiritual realm. So it allows our intuition, our intuitive selves, that inner wisdom I was mentioning, our subconscious to take the lead. And that I was talking about that, setting down any of the decisions and just doing, I especially encourage like doing something creative and letting the default mode network work on it, your subconscious, and even beyond. Your spiritual board of advisors like want to, they're like, hey, I got some thoughts, let me download some messages in your dreams or through a weird placed synchronous introduction or line of music, like I said. So that third eye helps you connect into the spiritual realm, really is about that inner wisdom and allowing it to lead. And it doesn't have to, the prefrontal, like give it a break. It does not have to carry all of the decision making. I really think of it as I think the decision fatigue comes because the prefrontal, in many ways, is making way more decisions than is required. It can implement, it can plan, it can get the course going for us. But if we say I need to make some decisions around these things, and then we don't engage the pros and cons list of our prefrontal, and we just allow the subconscious and our spiritual board of advisors and our guides and our inner wisdom to work while we're sleeping, while we're putting ornaments on the tree, while we're making a meal, while we're walking, taking a walk outside. And at some point, I call it the career nudge, but it's like sort of the nudge that comes up. It's more than your career, really. I guess it's your inner wise intellect nudging you to the decision. But we have to be patient with that too. That's another big thing. So, third eye chakra, you know, it, giving the prefrontal cortex, just letting it off the hook. It doesn't have to make all the decisions. Engaging through, just doing something fun, your subconscious, and allow the decision to rise up. It will do that, and you'll know, you'll feel it um, as truth in your body. And then finally, the crown chakra, right here. It's at the top of your head. It represents that connection. So it's sort of like this divine line, right? That's representing your connection with your spirituality, with your higher self, with your higher consciousness. It definitely connects directly into your third eye and then heads down the chakra energy centers. So if you're experiencing headaches or dizziness or even lightheadedness or sensitivity to light, you might want to consider that your crown chakra has something that wants to tell you, something it has to offer you. Because it's a connection to your higher wisdom and your higher purpose, start asking yourself, am I aligned? Is my work still aligned with who I've become? Have I been craving something new, craving an opportunity to have a bigger impact or make a larger difference? That's your crown chakra communicating with you. So take a step back, reevaluate what used to energize you might now no longer energize you. Look at what matters most to you at this point in your life. Your crown chakra keeps you moving on the path of your higher purpose, of your highest evolution. It is well tended to through journaling and reflection, dream analysis, reassessing, creating a new vision, one that again is not that is coming from the inside out. That is when your crown chakra is just like, please, 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 let's slow down, let's check in at all of the different parts of our chakras, from the root, where you can uh, think about grounding yourself, the sacral chakra, where you think about expressing yourself, your solar plexus, where you're empowering yourself, your heart chakra, where you're connecting with others, your throat, where you're speaking up, your third eye, where you're seeing things clearly and allowing the decisions to kind of take care of themselves. And then this crown chakra that aligns everything that you're saying, doing, feeling, expressing with your true nature, the highest version of yourself, right? So pause, notice, listen, trust that the answers are coming. Let your next step emerge. And if it's a phone call to me, hello, Lori, I am here for you. Give me a call and let's talk about, creating what's next for you with ease, right? And with fun and all of that. So if you're curious about what your body is saying, spend some time with these chakras. And if if the decision has been made, or you feel like a conversation with me could bring the more clarity you need for the next decision, then let's talk. So that's it for today. It was a longer one. But I had a lot to say about these chakras. So I hope that you are like right now for me, I am feeling something in my gut. It could be the fact that I ate a quarter of a bagel and I'm allergic to wheat. That could be it. But I also think it could be, something else as well. So I'm willing to consider that, how I'm not fully expressing myself, um, doing something. You know what? After this, I'm just saying right now, I'm going to check my emails. I'm going to make sure I'm caught up with everyone, giving everyone everything I said I would give them, answering any questions that way. I'm going to get myself ready for tomorrow. So I always, one of the things we do in Career Alchemy Academy is we talk about our VIPs, our very important priorities. I'm going to make sure I know what I'm focused on for tomorrow. And then I'm going to call it. And I'm going to go up and I'm going to put on some holiday music and I'm going to work on my Christmas village, my Dickens village, and see what and that's that creative expression, right? Through singing, I will be singing the music too. So that's really the whole point is I want to start singing. And so I'll go and sing the Christmas songs and I'll be paying attention to, not ignoring this potential um, chakra wisdom that my body is alerting me to, that it's time for more expression and more creativity, and I'm down for that. So always, always, uh, thank you for joining. If you're joining live, thank you for listening to the recording. Thank you for scheduling calls with me to talk about your careers. Thank you for referring me. If you've been thinking about it, here's a decision I'll make for you. Do it. Refer me. I'm just kidding. And I'm not kidding, but you know what I mean. And I think that's it for today. So I'm looking forward next week. We were a little later today because of an event I went to downtown at the Sears Willis Tower, and that was fun. And but next week, normal time, which is 1 o'clock Central, and talking, I think, like I said, I'm going to be talking a little bit about toxic work cultures, I believe, next week. So get ready for that with my own spirit-centered spin on it. All the best to all.